Uh, Hello, hello. If I can get someone to confirm that they can hear our audio and see Genesis and myself. Okay, we're good. All right. All right, we're going to get started. Oh, a couple seconds early here, but nonetheless, welcome to the product training webinar. This month's webinar, we're going to go over PMs, which is a big topic. We'd love to go and show you a whole bunch of things. And here's the agenda for today. We'll go over some of the rules, we'll introduce ourselves, we'll get into the PMs, the actual demonstration and tutorial in Click Maint, and then we'll go over some of your questions. So throw your questions in the question panel and we'll get to them towards the end, and then we'll also point out how you can always connect with our team. So a bit of housekeeping. We expect to keep you, we're going to try and keep it to half an hour. We've scheduled it to 45 max. Um, we will be recording this, so always keep in mind when you enroll or register for these webinars, even if you can't make it, if you register, we've got your email, we know who to send it to. So keep that in mind, but it's nice to attend the live one, and thank you for joining us today. And to introduce myself, my name is Mel Motosh, and I have been in the CMMS um, tech world for just over 12 years, coming on 13, I think. I've worked particularly with CMMS programs, and I've trained thousands of different admins and technicians and requesters, and I've got a lot of training under my belt there. A little bit about myself that I do have a fine arts degree from the University of Manitoba and an education degree from University of Western out in Ontario. Today joining me is Genesis. Genesis, tell people about yourself.
Hi, welcome everybody to today's webinar. As Mel had mentioned, my name is Genesis DePaula. So I'm the customer success manager here at Click Maint. I've been in the CMMS space since 2019. And although I'm a customer success manager now, I've also conducted live training at facilities as well before. So I've seen firsthand how companies use CMMS at their workplace. And a little bit about myself, I do have my Bachelor of Arts from the University of Winnipeg.
All right. So yes, Genesis and I both reside are in Winnipeg, Manitoba, where the ClickMate main office is. All right. So let's first talk about PMs and what they are. Genesis, help me out in defining what a PM is.
Of course, introduce PM. So, arguably, the number one reason why people purchase a CMMS is for preventive maintenance, often abbreviated as PM. What this is, it's a scheduled maintenance activity which is aimed at preventing equipment failures before they occur. So, by regularly inspecting and maintaining equipment, PMs help reduce downtime, extend the life of your assets, and minimize unexpected repairs. For example, a PM might be to check the oil level on a vehicle or inspect the belts on a machine to make sure they're in good shape. But ultimately, the goal is to focus on preventive work orders so that reactive work orders, which are work orders that are generated in response to a malfunction, so that those don't occur as often. So, in the
All right.
next slide here, um, we'll have an overview of why PMs are important. And so, as we can see, preventive maintenance keeps your operations predictable by catching small issues early, reducing unexpected downtime, and avoiding costly emergency repairs. It also helps extend the equipment life, improve safety and efficiency, and it makes it easier to plan for maintenance instead of reacting to breakdowns overall. I don't know about you, Mel, but I'm not a huge fan of fire alarms.
Yeah. No, definitely not. And like we said, this is typically the number one reason why people buy a CMMS program is that they want to get that, those reminders in there of what to do, like you said, so that it stops those fire alarms from happening. All right, so let's get into the tutorial, the demonstration part of the program, or pardon me, of the training today. So I'm going to start with creating a PM. I'm going to go into scheduling because that seems to be the hot topic that the support team mentioned. They get questions a lot about how do we schedule this properly. We'll get into the cloning feature, editing PMs, pausing, activating, all of these good details now. So I am going to jump in. oops, we're going to get into, I'm going to start right away with logging in. And so right from the beginning, when you log in, let's talk about what we see here. A reminder that everyone always arrives at the work orders. We're going to be discussing PMs today, so I will click on that module in the main menu on the left. Now, a lot of you probably already have PMs in your system. We're going to start and create a PM from scratch. We'll talk about editing what's already in your system right now. I want to clarify though, your PMs module, this is where all your preventative maintenance data is stored in Click Maint. These are not your work orders yet, but this is where you're going to find what information do you have about PMs, when do you want it scheduled, what assets are associated to. So the first thing I'm going to point out before I do create a PM is this feature here, the view settings. Some of you might think, well, mine looks a little bit different. I want to remind you all that you can adjust these columns in the order that you want them to appear. So each user can click on that gear icon and adjust the columns, hit apply, and that's going to change how you view your information. So when we create a new PM, the plus button in the top right corner, and this is the form that we're going to fill in. So Genesis mentioned earlier an example about, say regularly scheduled maintenance. I'm going to use something such as a forklift. We need to make sure, as far as OSHA or CSA and Canadian details or American details of their OSHA, that you have to do a daily forklift inspection. Okay, somebody's got to walk around and kind of check that everything's okay with their forklift. So I'm giving it a title. That is usually the first piece of info that your technicians see. So a title is always, what information do people need to know? If it's your daily walkarounds, if it's, some sort of inspection, anything that needs to auto generate. Description. We will say daily inspection according to OSHA standards, for example. Now, description, my suggestion is, what information would a technician need to know to complete the work order? Whether it's as detailed as you want or just an idea, but what would a tech need to know? Now you can continue to fill anything else out on this form. Priority levels, we'll say this is medium. Category, this is a great field of information because you can do, sorry, it groups your work orders together, categories. It also, you can run reports on categories. So it's a really nice piece of information to add to your work order. Now you can assign it. And here's another question that we tend to get. If I am creating a PM and I use the assign to field, that means every time that this ticket auto generates, it will always have the same technician. And I'm going to say this is used 50-50. For those of you that always know it's going to be the same individual using this work order, closing it out, great. It will save you time later once it generates that you do not have to assign it. For those of you that have bigger, say manufacturing plants and you have different shift work and you're not sure when that's going to generate or whom, you can always assign this work order to someone after. Okay. Now, work type. We have one work order form and the default is reactive. So here's when you're going to select preventive. And as soon as I do, this will ask, okay, well, if it's going to be a regularly scheduled work order, when do you want to schedule it? So I want to talk a little bit about the schedule dates, and there are three options. A one time is good for something to log that it is, say, for example, something that is of regularly scheduled maintenance. I would say by far persistent and floating are used 50-50. With persistent, this means that you're scheduling this on a calendar date without fail. For example, if I would like this work order to automatically generate in ClickMate every week on what's today, Wednesday, then I would select that. And then we have to select the start date. That's why we see this in red. And it's only going to pull up the Wednesday because we know the system understands you want to generate this on Wednesday. We'll start at the beginning of next month and then time to complete. Now, I'd like to clarify time to complete. Some people think that this is how long should it take me to do the inspection or the job. This is how long between the work order generates, and do you actually think that the technician will get to closing this? So before the work order becomes overdue. It's not the job, but from how long that they'll close the ticket. So I might say, well, if it's daily, I'm going to give this person 4 hours. Okay. Now you can always confirm with your scheduling here. The alternative to persistent, again, this will generate every week without a doubt. It doesn't matter if you're not closing this. You didn't close the last one, the next one will generate. If it's a daily and it's Monday through Friday, and that's my example, I have a daily forklift inspection. We operate Monday through Fridays. I will select that. Now, floating, because that is the opposite, this is a scheduling that will generate a certain amount of time after the last one is closed. So, for example, if you know that you did an oil change today and you're going to do an oil change in 6 months, then you can say from this particular date, and we'll adjust this to 6 months starting today. So this, if this work order generated today, I closed it today, it would generate 6 months later. Again, you'll never have a duplicate work order if you select floating. So that's really the big difference. And it's up to you and your organization. Persistent means you can kind of gauge our work orders getting done daily, kind of seeing if you need to reschedule that and change the time frames. Whereas floating, you'll always have that ticket sitting there. And again, this one you can select how many days to complete. All right, so I'm going to go with the persistent one. We want to do this every Monday through Friday, and we're going to start today. You can even select the time frame. We'll say it's 11, and we're going to associate it to a piece of equipment or location, and I'm going to associate this to my red forklift there. Now, you can continue if you have outside vendors that you associate to the job. We talked about procedures in a previous webinar. You can attach any other items, or you can create a checklist. A checklist means that there's specific tasks that you would like your team to take note of. So I might say something like, check for damage. And we're going to add another one there that says inspect tires. And we'll say test brakes. Oops. All right. Once I've added all my details in here, I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And this is going to jump to the top of my PMs module. Now, in this module, I have all these columns. Remember, you can see additional information if you'd like. But here's another couple of features that we have is I have more than one forklift. I've created this forklift and I've associated it to my red forklift. Well, what happens if you have multiple? You've got 10 HVAC units or you have multiple rooms that maybe you're creating inspection. You'll create the one PM. And when you open this PM, in the top right, You can see all the details that I've provided, but when I click on the three dots here, this is going to allow me to clone this PM. So when I select clone, then the window is going to ask, well, I'm associating all these details to which other asset. So this will pull up my asset list. And I'd like to clone all that information for my yellow forklift. So I'll select that. I can select as many, if I have five more, you can select as many as you'd like or remove. Okay. And now I'm going to hit the clone button, and I'd like you to keep an eye there. That what happens now is it's going to add to the top of my list. If I had 10 of them, I'd have 10 new ones. You will see what makes it unique is the name now, because here, this is now titled Daily Forklift Inspection. It mentions it's the clone one, but to which asset it's associated with. Now, when I click on the name and I view this information, let's say that I want to edit this. Let's say that this forklift, I have some other unique details that are slightly different from this inspection. When you click on the name and you open up the detail card to this PM, hit the edit button, and that's going to open up the original work order form that looks similar to this. So for example, maybe I'm going to get rid of this, or well, I don't want to, I want to get rid of the term clone here. And we're going to edit the name. And this one, I've got an extra item on my checklist. This one has chains on the tires. So I'm going to say check chains because we use this one outdoors. So you can click on the name and edit any PM. Whatever details that I put in this form are what we can expect to generate moving forward. If I had one of these PMs already sitting in my work orders module that generated, it will not contain the new information. It will just move forward with the modifications. So make sure I hit save, and now we can see that those adjustments have been made. All right, now next, a couple of other features that I would like to show you are with this PM, kind of the opposite of activate now is the pause button. By default, if all of you remember that you have these quick filters, and by default, this PM's module will display anything that is planned, that you know is going to be moving forward. But let's say that you know you are going to close down for a week for holidays, or that for some reason you want to prevent this PM from generating for a certain amount of time. You can click on this and you can hit the pause button. And what that will do is will temporarily stop this from generating. So for example, if I know I'm going to be, today's Wednesday, and I know that I'm going to be away for Thursday, Friday, for example, I'll hit the pause button. And now we will find that pause button in here. And that just means that these are temporarily stopped. You will have to put them back up at planned so that they can continue to generate as expected. Next question I'll get with this is, well, I missed Thursday and Friday. Are they going to generate Thursday and Friday work orders? No, it is just going to move forward. It is not, that's exactly what it's doing is it's pausing the tickets from generating in the event that, let's say that there's a shutdown or whatnot, or in the event that you have to be away. The completed button, I'll point out, is anything that was scheduled with that one-time date, something that you just had to do once, it's over, it's done. You're not using those again. So I'm going to go back to this and I'm going to hit plan because I would like this to continue to generate every day. And I'll go back to my default of planned. Now, the opposite of that is, let's say I know that I have done, my task list and most of my jobs today, and I would like to generate this one time early because I've got a couple extra hours on my schedule today. That's what this activate now button is. And let me clarify. When you hit this activate now button, this means you're going to generate this PM one time early. You do not need to do this. This is scheduled to generate at 11 a.m. today. It will generate at 11 a.m. and you will find it in the work orders module. But if I want this work order right now, I can generate it early. It will continue tomorrow at 11 a.m. So let's hit that activate now button. We can see in the work orders module that I now have my work order that I've generated one time early. Okay. So your PMs, again, to reiterate, your PMs, this is where your data is. This is where you see all the details. This is where you can modify those details if you need to adjust those schedules. A lot of times you guys will bulk import your information with us. We try and guide you the best way, but if you ever need to edit this, it's clicking on the name, right? Editing and adjusting those details as you have some experience and time with the program and see what needs to get adjusted. So I'm going to go to this work orders module. And this is where you'll find both your reactive, your ad hoc, unexpected work orders and your PMs. You do not have to hit any button to generate the PMs other than activating it early. But I found my work order. There's all the details. There's my checklist. Okay. Um, if I want to edit this work order specifically, notice I didn't assign to anyone. And now I can assign this to a particular technician because I know that this person will be in at this certain time. I'll hit save. That means I've assigned that work order. Checklist. And once I'm done, they hit the completed button. That work order will generate again tomorrow at 11. All right. Genesis, have I missed anything? I think that was kind of a quick overview. What kind of questions do we have? What's coming up here?
Of course, I think we have a couple questions there as far as when creating a PM, can I associate a part to this and have a part automatically generate with the work order?
Very good question. So let me point out, I'm in the work orders module. The work orders module and the PM module have the exact same button in the top right corner. If you've noticed this system, if you ever add anything, the button's in the top right. We're going to add a work order. We're adjusting to a preventive. You'll do your schedule date, but yes. If you know that with this forklift daily inspection, if I need to add a filter, for example, absolutely. At the bottom of the form, you have a parts, add parts. This will be a drop-down list of all the inventory that you have in this module. You'll select the filter. Let's see, what do I have? We'll just grab that's HVAC. We'll just grab this filter, for example. You'll indicate how many and hit save. So what happens there is anytime that work order comes up, that part is suggested. All right. What else?
Another question that we have coming in, Mel, let's say I have a work order that I only perform this throughout specific months. Can I create a custom schedule for this so that the work order generates only throughout specific months of the year?
Yeah, that sounds more like a seasonal scheduling. So preventive, the best one that I can suggest for that is you can select which months, but the week one seems to be way more specific. There's no specific time frame on those particular months, but yeah, I would say every certain amount of weeks. So seasonal is yet something that we don't have in there, but the week one seems to be the most used because at least it allows you to select a day of the week.
I think now if we go by month there, we also have
Oh
the
yeah, sorry,
custom
you're right, you're
schedule
right. Ah,
available.
sorry. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There is, if we go by, let's see,
I think it's the repeats every the frequency there.
repeats every.
And then you select custom up at the top.
Oh, that's right.
So it's a
That's
good
right. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Thanks, Genesis. Right.
no
So
problem.
to do the seasonal one, you're right. Go to, that's right. There's a specific order. This one's tricky. So if you do go to persistent, go to month, and it's going to be in that order. Select month, then that term custom comes up. Yeah, that's right. Here you can select specific days of the month. That's right, it's hidden there. So, for example, where Genesis and I are located, we would know that the months of October, November, December, January, February, March, somebody has to shovel. We'd create a daily on snow removal. So, yes, thanks for reminding me about that one. I always suggest the week one. All right, what else do we have there?
We have a question coming into the chat here. Can we delete a lot of the PMs that are created?
Can we
Um,
what? Sorry, can you repeat that?
delete generated PMs. So I guess
Ah,
is there a way to filter through our work orders list? How do we filter for only generated PMs from the work orders module?
so to I think the question is saying, do if I can I delete this work order? Um, if you create this, some of you, depending on your user role, will have access to these three dots here, and that's where you can delete this. Now, I'm going to say system doesn't like to delete a lot of things. If I go ahead and try and delete this, it's going to warn you. In some cases, if the work order has a history, then you would actually have to go into the work orders module. You would find that PM. So anything that's previously been completed, and I'll use my filter saying, say, I'd like to find all my completed work orders. And then you can use your keyword search, or you can use your filter here and say, any of those work orders that had to do with a particular asset that was a preventive PM for this HVAC unit, for example. So you might have to delete the history before you can delete the PM. It's pretty fussy with deleting history. Possible, but you'll have a couple of steps to take. All right, what else?
How about for reporting? How can I run reports on the PM categories that we
Okay,
utilized earlier?
yeah, good question. So keep in mind, you guys, this filter is going to be, I always say this is your friend here. If you can really perfect how to use this filter, because we have the quick filters, but really what we've done is displayed the ones that you might do, obviously. I know the question was about reports, but I want to point out that this work orders module is used a lot as well. The default is you're going to see anything that's open, but let's clear this up and say, I'd like to see anything completed. And I'm going to use this filter and I'm going to add a rule and I want to see anything completed to do with, and here you're pulling data from any field you provided on the work order. So I always say the more information you put into these tickets, the easier it's going to be for you to find information. Let's use a date range. So anything completed and was completed between, we're going to say January 1 and what's today? March 25. And I'm going to add another rule. Keep in mind, if you add rules, you're really narrowing down. So completed this year for this, the asset is exactly, or is any of, I'm going to say my HVAC units. And I hit apply. There's my results. It's all my HVAC units completed in that date range. Now, you can extract this. If you hit this icon, we've designed all these modules the same. The icon and typically at the top of the list view, that means you're putting it into a spreadsheet. Now, the question was more about reports and KPIs. If I click on reports, absolutely. There is even one that is just specifically reactive compared to preventive. So with the reports, you typically select a date range. We're going to say this month. I'll hit apply. Keep in mind you can customize your date range, but we've made the obvious ones pretty easy to locate. And I'll expand this report to get to my details. And there I have a report that compares my preventive. And ideally, this is good. We've done well. I mean, we've only got 12 reactive work orders, and that's the numbers you want to see, is that you're getting to that regularly scheduled maintenance instead of the unexpected events, the reactives. All right. Anything else? We're at 10:30 here. Do we have anything else?
I think that's all we have for questions coming into the Q&A section at this time.
Okay. Well, if the questions come in, we will get to them after. The last thing I want to point out is reminder, everyone, this icon in the small in the corner there, that small little circular icon, this opens up this window. Please send us a message if you have questions. That is exactly there for you to use. This becomes a chat. Our support team is there to help you out when those questions do come up right while you're using the system. And in any event, the responses will get emailed to you. So that's there for you to use. That about covers it for PMs. The other thing I'm going to do is, Genesis, did we put some of those links? We have our help center. If we can throw everything that we have to do with PMs in the chat there, we'll send you our links for PMs and that can help you and your team out as well. All right. So thank you for joining us. Hopefully that helped one or two of you today create new PMs or make adjustments to your existing ones. Genesis, we good?
Very good. Thank you everyone for joining. And again, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to your CSM or our support team.
Please do. Enjoy your day, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.